Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Ask Firebase at Google I/O. We're completely live here. And I hope you all enjoyed the past, day and a half of Google I/O, where we got so many updates, right? I hope you caught the keynotes and what's new in Firebase. And if you did, you heard a lot of Firebase updates. And if you're like me, you'll probably have a lot of questions about those updates too. And that is good, because that's why we're here. We have a good, 30 minutes or so to answer as many questions as we can here that you have about Firebase and the new updates that we launched. If all is well, you will see somewhere around here a Q&A section. And that means that if you go there now, you will find questions that people have already asked, and there's an upvote button there. You can give them a thumbs up or an upvote. And that is good, because we're going to try and answer the most upvoted questions. And if you don't see something that you really wonder about, then type the question, and then others can upvote it, and we might answer it. Now, you hear me saying we a lot. So who's we? Let's introduce the panelists. And first up, we have Tali. And Tali, can you tell me what you do in Firebase, and what was your favorite announcement from one of the keynotes?
Oh, sure. Hey, everybody, I'm Tali Sason. I'm an engineering director in Firebase, and I get to work on lots of fun Firebase products, including a bunch that help you make sure your app is stable, performant, growing, and engaging. What was my favorite thing you said? Favorite from it? Okay. I think I would go with all the exciting announcements around Firebase performance monitoring. It's just really, really exciting. I think it's going to be super powerful for users, and I'm so excited for folks to get their hands on it.
I can imagine. That was a really cool announcement. Okay, next up we have Rachel. Rachel, can you tell me also a bit about what you do in Firebase and what your favorite announcement was?
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Saunders, and I'm a tech writer on the DevRel team. So I work on products like Crashlytics and AdMob, performance monitoring, all sorts of good things to be able to help you have a really performant app and a monetized app. And my favorite announcement is probably the storage emulator. It finally completes our build product ecosystem, so that you're finally not having to test on any type of production resources, and you can really test out everything you're doing with storage and AWE and all of your other resources.
It's so awesome, right? Full local development. I love that too. And some of you might recognize Rachel, because she was our host for Ask Firebase Live when we did it at Firebase Summit in Madrid.
Yes.
Now, you might also recognize our final panelist here from Ask Firebase, because I think he's the person that might have invented this show format. Welcome, David. What do you do in Firebase, and what was your favorite announcement?
So I didn't invent hashtag Ask Firebase, nor did I come up with the hashtag. I'm letting that secret out. The very first one I ever did, the GDS producer was like, you have to really go heavy with the hashtags, and from there, that's just the story. It wrote itself. But yeah, I'm David East. I'm a developer relations engineer on Firebase, and I help people learn Firebase. And and I'm here. I answer questions. So my favorite announcement, I know what you're all going to think, because you're like, weren't you going like that in that JavaScript one? So you're going to say it was the JavaScript one, but it wasn't. Well, it's because you think it was, but it was app check, because app check is crazy powerful, just unbelievable. All the how you can make your app more secure. So if you haven't seen app check, you should see that one. But JS SDK, they're both my favorites. Let's just be real. So yeah, that's what I like.
I think, honestly, we had so many great announcements. App check is for me also. It actually means that I have to go back to Stack Overflow and change some answers, because I said, no, this isn't possible with Firebase. And now it is. So that's really good. Hey, thank you for the introductions. Thanks for indeed lots of shout outs to great launches we had. And I see we already have some questions coming up. So I'm going to read the first one, and we're then going to answer that. And the first one is from Andy, and it says, what's needed to get real-time data display for Firebase performance monitoring? And how long does it take for my performance data to appear in the Firebase console? And I think, Rachel, you might actually know a bit about that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I worked on this feature launch, and we were so incredibly excited to do it. So all you need to do to be able to get near real-time data displayed in the Firebase console is update your SDK. So get the latest version for each of the SDKs into your app, and for the performance monitoring SDK in your app. And you can actually use any SDK that was released after January 2021, but we always recommend using the very latest version of the SDK. once you get your app rolled out with that new SDK version, you will see data display in the Firebase console within usually less than a minute, 2 minutes. Like it's near real time. So you can really see what your users are experiencing in almost real time. It's incredible. But yeah, I would definitely get your SDK upgraded so that you can start seeing that data in the actually redesigned console, which is pretty nifty. It has some cool features in it too, like adding metrics that you care about to a dashboard so you can see like actual real-time data populate in the chart. It's really neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I would add there too, if you are an existing FirePerf user and you haven't checked out the console in a while, totally come back. Check it out. See, like Rachel said, the entire new user experience that we have is in addition to the real-time data. It's really cool.
Yeah, 100% on that.
One of the major features we announced. I love that one, actually. Hey, and great question, Andy. Let's move on to the next one. And keep in mind, you can keep asking questions and upvote other questions. And who knows, we might get to yours. But the next one is from Michaela. And Michaela says, excited to see storage added to the Emulator suite. What can I use it for now? And David, you know a lot about the emulator, so.
Yes, storage emulator was a big deal. I actually really enjoyed seeing a lot of the comments. So you just see, if you go to the YouTube video, the comments they're great. All those people are like, just lots of emoji faces and people just super excited for it. What's great about the storage emulator is that you can use it for the answer of what I'm going to say. You can actually use it for the same things you use it for online, but it's offline. And why that's great is that, well, you're not always going to have a connection when you're developing, which, I used to take a bus, not a Google bus. I used to take a other bus every day into work back when that used to happen. And I really appreciated things that worked offline because that was super helpful for me. And so that's also great. But another thing is that if you're running integration tests and end tests, like we develop Angular Fire and React Fire and all these different libraries, we have to test to see, hey, is our storage uploads working? We can then actually upload some base64 encoded image in our unit test, and it just works. It's super fast, and we don't actually have to do that over a network connection. So we have fast integration tests running on our CI server, and it makes us happy because before we were actually doing it over a real connection, and that was not super great. So the storage emulator is huge quality of life improvement. And if you're already an emulator user, you'll just start using it, and it's pretty awesome. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, especially the talk that Rachel and Abe did is fantastic. So yeah, storage emulator, very nice.
Very hot stuff. I love the storage emulators. I love the emulator suite in general, although you've taken away one more reason why I'm not writing unit tests.
That's why we do it.
I know. Hey, let's move on to the next question. Let me see. This one is coming in from Jenny, I think. Yes. And Jenny was asking, I heard about personalization in what's new in Firebase. What is it and how can I use it? And that's a great question, Jenny. And I think, I see Tali moving. Tali,
yeah, I'll answer this one. I want to answer this one. I'm so excited about personalization. It's a new feature in remote config. And what it does is it uses machine learning to automatically optimize your app experience at the individual user level. So cool. So when you're thinking about how to use it, I guess what I'd say is you can consider using personalization for many of the use cases you might otherwise use A/B testing. Let me give you some examples. An example might include setting a game difficulty level, or the right discount for a promotion, or the frequency for video ads. Those are different ways that you might be able to leverage it. And I know folks are wondering, how do I get this? How do I get this right now? Which I'm excited. I want you to get it. So we have two suggestions for that. One is make sure that you have the latest RC SDK integrated, because you're going to be able to use personalizations without writing any additional code, which is so exciting. And then the next that I would encourage you to consider signing up for the Firebase Alpha group, because we're going to give access to this to our alpha users first. So that's a little bit about personalizations. I'm so excited for folks to be able to use it because we had some EAP partners working with it first, and they thought it was really awesome, super powerful.
I love that. So 2 steps is getting the latest SDK and then signing up for Firebase Alpha, right? Firebase.google.com/alpha. That is awesome. Let's go to the next question. Let's see. This one is from Jose. And Jose is asking, how can the JavaScript vNext SDK be so much smaller? Does it still do the same thing as before? That's actually a really good question, David. Why is it so much smaller?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question. So yeah, if you haven't seen, you just look for the guy going like that in YouTube, that's me. We show that we have just released a brand new JavaScript SDK. It has not so much written a lot of it. Some teams have rewritten a ton of it, but a lot of it is also reorganized. And so in the JavaScript world and other worlds as well, but especially in JavaScript, there's this technique called tree shaking, where you can analyze what you're importing in a file, and then a tool like Rollup or Webpack is able to look at that file and say, hey, only these parts of the library are needed. And so we are able to reorganize and restructure our libraries to work really well with tree shaking. And so now when you import things from Firebase, those tools are like, oh, this is all you need. So we're going to leave all this other stuff that you're not using, aside. And then also a lot of other work went into it, like the auth team. They did such a fantastic job, like really scrutinizing a lot of the pieces in the auth SDK and really trimming it down. Even the new version of if you're using the compatibility version, you're already saving a significant amount. So yeah, there's a lot of great work. So if you have not seen it, you should check it out. You get a way, way better performance, and we are really excited to see how you all like it.
And I think you actually recorded a video on this, right?
I did, yes. Yeah, and I show all how it works and why it works the way it works, and then show the size differences between the new and the old versions, and also how you use our compatibility version to have a nice upgrade to the new SDK.
Yeah, it really looks wonderful. Even right with the compatibility version, it's almost drop-in, right? Not completely, but it really looks so simple.
You just change the import path. That's it. And then that's the only use you'll need to do, is you just change it to a /compat path, but then all the code works exactly the same. You don't get the tree shaking benefits when you're in compat mode, but you can start incrementally adding in the new SDK, and then eventually you're not on the compat mode anymore, and you have all the awesome savings.
I love that. This was a feature that was very much requested. I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this counts as a feature. Actually, I don't know, but it was definitely one of the
performance is a feature.
Yeah, it is true. That is true. Hey, we're going to move on to the next question. This one is about Firebase app distribution, and it comes from Rajiv. Rajiv is asking, I saw that Firebase app distribution now supports Android app bundles. Now, what does this actually enable? And I think, Tali, you might know a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So we were super excited to announce this too. So developers that use AABs to distribute pre-release versions of their apps now will have a few things available to them. So let me see if I can list them out for you. The first one is that you can deliver smaller apps to your testers. And that's really great. Basically, what we're seeing is that APKs generated from AABs are about, someone fact check me, I think it's about like 35% smaller than universal APKs, which is super fabulous. It also allows you to test the same artifacts in Play and in Firebase. And of course, you want to make sure you're testing as close to production as possible. So that's awesome too. And then I guess the last thing I would call out here is that it allows you to leverage some of the functionality that's only available for AABs. So an example would be testing dynamic features for the Play feature delivery. That would be one example of that. So a lot of powerful support that allows users to leverage and make sure they are testing.
And we're going to move over to a question from Jürgen about Cloud Function. Oh, I love this question. This is a really good one, Jürgen. Jürgen is asking, how can I keep a Cloud Function warm for a small user base, or when users only show up during particular times, right? How can I prevent that my functions have to cold start? That's a really good question. David, do you know if we have anything there for Jürgen?
Yeah, I'm super happy I'm wearing my vintage Cloud t-shirt for this. It really fits. So yes, the Cloud team recently announced that they have a new awesome feature within Cloud Functions called min instances. And this is a way that you can say like, hey, I like Cloud Functions and I like them so much that I always want a minimum amount of instances around. And so let's just have one per se, that's going to be running at any given time. And so that way, when people are making calls to your Cloud Function, you know that it's going to be warm and it's going to be good. That does incur a cost. You pay for it to stick around. But if you have that use case, it's usually well worth the cost. So yeah, that was a feature that was just recently announced that time of the year. And so we are working on adding that in as it gets further along. So stick around and check out what we have to say about min instances in this soon to be feature.
Yeah, our team is closely following this from the Google Cloud Functions team itself also, right? We are ready to launch a Firebase update as soon as it goes out from Cloud Functions itself. And I like it because it's min instances that goes hand in hand with the max instances that already existed. Mm-hmm. So you can sort of determine like the bandwidth of how much processing you expect or are willing to spend on it. Really good. And Jürgen, I wish all questions got such a wait until a few weeks from now, right? Hey, we're doing great. I was quickly checking the time. We're about halfway through. We're covering questions at a rapid pace, so I love it. Keep going, team. The next one is from Juan, and Juan is asking about, I think probably Firestore is my guess. And it's full text search is a defining feature for Google, but it's been missing on Firebase, except through third parties like Algolia. Are there any plans to allow indexing fields as full text search in the future? That's a really good question, Juan, and we get that one a lot. And Tali, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Let me give it a go. I guess what I would say to this one is that we are adding some functionality here, but we actually really encourage you to use tools that are built to do this and really will work best for your search use cases. So you might have seen we made an announcement during Google I/O that we have a new extension coming out, which is search with Algolia. And I would encourage you to check that out and see if that serves what you're looking to do here.
Yeah, that's a perfect one, indeed, right? What we find is that full text search, while we are indeed really good at it at Google, it's not the same as document synchronization, right? Which is what Firestore is really focused on. Even if we would, right, at some point add full text search, it's not going to be the same as what a full text search engine does, right? It's just a very different domain. And the search with Algolia, it's now as easy as clicking to set it up, right? I can't wait to actually try that extension myself. I've only done other integrations with Algolia. Really cool. Great question, Juan. I hope we get more questions like this. I'm actually quickly going to check what the next one is. This one is from Mark. And, oh, nice one. Mark is asking, what is the best way to manage multiple environments, like, for example, dev, test, and productions? Should you run it on the one cloud project, or should you have a dedicated project for each environment? And I never know the answer to this. Rachel, do you know?
Yes, this is a question we get a lot about, like multiple projects, managing multiple projects, as well as like working with a team with multiple projects, especially when you have this, like you need to actually run the real environment workflow where you're testing, you're QAing, you're developing, and you have your prod. We definitely recommend having a different Firebase project for each one of those environments. You do not want to be testing on your prod resources. It will affect your users. So make sure that you do set up a different project for each one of these environments. And just to plug really fast back again to the Firestore Emulator suite, you can do testing with the Emulator suite. So also make sure to utilize that for some of your testing and not necessarily always having, you do need that test environment and that test project, but that Emulator suite really does help you do with a lot of that testing.
Yeah, no, the Emulator suite, I love how it's now completely rounded out, right? All the backend services are in there. Yep. So I have no more excuse to not be using the Emulator suite, to not be creating unit tests, and to not test on production, you said. It's like,
yes, please. Keep your users safe, keep your app safe.
You can always think of reasons not to write unit tests, though. Like, let's not get carried away with it.
Why are y'all against unit tests? You got to write unit tests.
I'm going to take David up on finding more reasons for me to not do this.
Oh, gosh.
And this, people, is why they don't let me build production apps. Hey, we're going to move to the next question. This one is coming from Niels. Niels is asking, with the current trend of adding server-side rendering to single-page applications, like with Angular, React, Vue and Svelte. Are there any plans to support this directly with Firebase hosting at some point? I know it's possible with things like App Engine and Cloud Run, but a fully Firebase solution would be nice, I think. It's a really long question. David, I know that you've in the past done a lot with server-side rendering.
Yes. Yeah, I've been doing stuff with server-side rendering for many years now, and that's a really fantastic question. There's lots of cool stuff like Svelte and SvelteKit, and Next.js is always doing really cool stuff. You have Remix, like the web space, we really do a great job of just churning out really cool tool after cool tool. It's a specialty of ours, and there right now, I would say that if you want, there's multiple ways of doing this depending on the platform. If you're an Angular user, you do ng add Firebase with the CLI integration. You can do also, it'll generate your Angular Universal bundle for you, and you can do an ng deploy, and it'll automatically set up all of the Cloud Function and Firebase hosting side of things. So that is already pretty seamless with Angular. As far as other ones, we are always evaluating and looking to see how can we make this better with Next. SvelteKit, like I said, looks super cool. Next with Vue is another great one. But until we have anything like that's just like straight out of the box, like you said, Cloud Run really is your best bet. It just allows you to be as flexible as possible. You have a full container instance to be able to do things with. There's lots of amazing examples I've seen out there with running all sorts of things on Cloud Run and Firebase hosting. So I recommend that for now, but stay tuned because we really we see this trend as well, and this is something that we also want to make sure is super easy for all Firebase developers.
Yeah, I got this question actually also earlier in the I/O Adventure, in the Firebase Sandbox, from one of the developers. I had a great discussion there. Remember, folks, we are live. So if you have any questions, look for the Q&A around here and enter them now. We might answer them in the, few minutes we have remaining. So we'll see that. Let's quickly move on to the next question, which is coming from Vivek. And Vivek is asking, when will AppCheck be extended to Firestore? Real-time database has this first. It's like, yes, real-time database has this first. I'm happy with that. But Tali, do you know when, if we're working on Firestore, and if so, when that might be coming?
Well, thank you for the softball question, because I love these types of questions, because I get to say it is coming. We are working on it. We're so excited to get it out to users soon. So keep watching. It's coming soon.
And I love questions like this about AppCheck also, right? It's a completely new layer that we're adding to Firebase, and people are already so excited about it. And not surprisingly, right? How awesome is it that we can add security like this layer? Don't forget to check out the talk about AppCheck also. I'm not sure about the title anymore. Anyone knows, please tell me. But
it's just AppCheck is awesome.
Yeah, that probably should be it.
All it is.
Yeah, no, I know that Tyler and Rosalind are doing a great way explaining it. I learned a lot when I got a sneak preview of it. Let's see. Oh, there's the next question. I almost skipped. Nikhil was asking, are there resources available by Googlers which allow college students to like us to learn Firebase? And if yes, then where? And if no, then please suggest other external resources we can use. That's really a good question, Nikhil. We love it, by the way, but we love anyone who wants to use Firebase. We love it when the college students also want to use Firebase, of course. Who knows of any resources? I'm going to look at the panel now. And
should we each do one? We could like mob the answer. I don't know.
I love that we're going to do a slightly different order in that case, though, because Rachel was very quickly in raising her hand. So Rachel gets to go first.
Well, I come from a teaching background, so I love when students are asking to learn things, especially when they're first starting out. I think it's cool. And I love what Google provides is these things called code labs. And so it's totally for beginners. They give you a working app so you can go step by step through an app, add things as you go. It gives you detailed instructions to be able to integrate different Firebase services. And then you have a working app at the end of it all. It's super cool. So check it out, Code Labs. Just Firebase Code Labs into your search engine and it'll pop up a whole slew of them.
I love that. Okay, Tali, you were also excited. Which one is next? Code Labs?
Yeah. Well, I thought Code Labs was great. I would pick another one, which is the free tier. So just being aware that Firebase has a really powerful free tiers that you can go in, you can mess around, you can play and learn without charging a bunch of money.
I like that too. David, do we have anything else?
Yeah, youtube.com/Firebase,
Yes.
where on the YouTube channel, we use the free tier and we have video code labs. So yeah, amazing combination.
Everything
And they
is
can see
covered there.
you, right?
Sometimes,
Okay.
when other people, there's this show about where we like release new things in note form and then so we put all of them together, and then this one guy goes out and he tells everybody what happens whenever we release new features. It's really good. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. I enjoy it.
It's fun. I'm recording an episode of that this Friday, and I guess you already know what's new in Firebase, so that is awesome. Hey, we are rapidly approaching the end. I think we might have time for one more question. We're going to try, but we have to be quick. This one is from Marcus, and it's, is there an easy way to set up two-factor authentication for Firebase Auth? Does anyone want to take this one? I'm quickly checking to see nodding heads.
Yeah, I mean, you can set up two-factor authentication by going through. There's the docs for this, I believe, are primarily in the Cloud console. That's why I had answered. I wore the Cloud shirt. So I would check that out. I don't have a ton of experience with that myself, but from what I know, that yes, you go, maybe you can find a link and I'll find your Dory and send it over to you. But yeah, there's instructions for going to that. It's a bit of a dance between going through Cloud docs and setting some stuff up with our SDKs. But once you see the instructions, should be pretty straightforward.
That's perfect. Okay, with that, we are through with the questions we can do. I do have one question for each of you. I love that you were here. Thank you so much for helping me answer these questions. Now, what else are you looking most forward to at Google I/O? What are you going to do next? Tali, you first.
Yeah, sure. I can't believe how quick that went. If you have more questions, keep sending them to us. We'll answer them offline. What am I looking forward to? You know, I love I/O because it's a chance to get to talk to a bunch of developers. And I know it's different this year, but I think that the tools that we've released and the ways that we're engaging virtually during this conference are awesome. So I'm excited to talk to a bunch of you.
I can imagine. It's a good one. Rachel, which one is next for you? Did you already see all the talks that we released? Or?
Yeah, the thing with I'm actually interested in the workshops because, like Tali was just saying, like interacting with people and other the developers and Firebasers, like we don't get that in this virtual world, but we did end up making a way to have it work with workshops. So, you know, the code labs I just mentioned, well, workshops are guided tutorials with a Googler or with a Firebaser walking through a code lab with you. So check out the workshops and check out code labs at the same time.
That's an awesome one. I'm actually heading over to one of the workshops right after this. David, I think I can guess what yours is, but tell us, what's your next for you at I/O here?
Well, speaking of virtual worlds, I/O Adventure is fantastic. Did you know that if you go into it, you can get a Firebase staff, and then you actually can equip it with both hands? There's a taco hat. You can play golf. And the Flutter team, they all got together and they made this big heart. And I heard in Material, maybe there was like a conga line, and I did like a mini one with. You gotta show. If you haven't been to I/O Adventure, you are just missing out. It is so fantastic between the swag and all of the stuff, all the demos. Yeah, you have to go to I/O Adventure. That's where I'm gonna go right after this. So, you just come see me, and maybe we can do a conga line or make a big like Sparky, shape.
Lots of Sparky and Dash, right? That's what I know.
Yes.
Hey, I want to thank you all for being here. We are going to thank you for helping me answer all these questions. It was great to have you here. And I will see you during the rest of I/O.
Yeah, thanks, Puff.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.